the show. Our next guest is going to talk about the value of nutrients and what particular nutrients we really need to get into our bodies. We're joined by Anna Vadiano, natural health practitioner and registered nutritional therapist. Welcome back to the show, Anna. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And obviously something we should talk about year-round, but I think sometimes, specifically in the winter, we're maybe more deficient in certain things, and vitamin D is probably one of the biggest ones we're more deficient in.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people say to me, and I think I eat pretty well. Do I really need to take a supplement? And to that, I say, well, there's two parts to it. Some people think they're eating really well, but when you ask them, they're not really doing such a good job. And also, even if you are eating really well, there are some nutrients that are difficult to get from food because we don't eat those foods. So vitamin D is for sure a really important one. I'll start with that.
Okay.
So why do you think most people take vitamin D?
Yeah, I was going to ask you what the function is, but let's start with the trivia here.
To keep you happy and upbeat and
That's a good one. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So typically people take vitamin D because it's associated with bone health. It helps us to absorb calcium. But there's been a ton of research done on vitamin D. So, yeah, it enhances our mood. It helps prevent a lot of chronic diseases, even cancer, cardiovascular disease. It boosts our immune function, which is really important at this time of year. And we can also make vitamin D from exposing ourselves to the sun. Vitamin D is called the sunshine vitamin, but at this time of year, right? And even when the sun is strong enough, we tend to cover ourselves with clothing or sunscreen to protect us from getting a sunburn. And those things also block the rays from the sun that initiate that whole production of vitamin D with our skin. So I have some food here, and it's super important that we get enough vitamin D because, unfortunately, we can't get enough here in Canada by exposing ourselves to the sun most of the time. There aren't a lot of foods that have it in there, and so research shows that 60 to 70% of Canadians are deficient in vitamin D.
Wow.
And that means our levels are lower than the ones that research show are necessary to prevent a lot of these chronic diseases. So what can we do
Where
here?
do we get it?
Well, we have some foods. Cold water, fatty fish are really important. So salmon, whether you cook yourself up a fresh salmon fillet or crack open a can of salmon and put it on your salad. Sardines are also really good. Sardines, just open them up, eat them out of the can, or put them on a salad. Liver, which maybe isn't something that a lot of people like to eat, but even if we could have liver once a week.
That's so bad there.
You put the onions in it.
Yes.
You put the bacon in it.
Yeah.
You add a little gravy, and it's
Okay, we're coming to your house for dinner.
Tried it.
And then something a little bit more accessible, eggs, particularly the yolk. So eggs are a really great healthy food.
That's the part that most people try and avoid.
And we shouldn't avoid. Egg yolks are full of nutrients and healthy cholesterol. We need cholesterol. So I typically like to have an egg or two for breakfast, and I think that everybody would benefit from having eggs.
Now, I see three different colors. Is there the main difference in
chicken? The color of the chicken or the type of chicken, yeah. Yeah, so there's your food sources of vitamin D.
You get your chocolate milk.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. How much vitamin D do you need?
Well, it depends. Most supplements are 1,000 international units a day, but research shows that most people could do with more. I get my vitamin D levels tested, so I know what my dosage should be, and that's a good thing to do. If you've never had your D levels tested, ask your doctor about that.
Terrific. All right, let's move over to omega-3s. Okay. We all hear about the omega-3s.
Now, why do you think we need omega-3s?
Omega-3s. Jeez.
Good skin?
Yes, that's right.
Help with good hair.
Yeah, good skin, hair.
Let me think. Oh, brain. It's the brain food.
Brain food. Super important. So omega-3 is called an essential fatty acid, and it's called essential because we essentially need it for our health. It's very critical to our health, and our body can't make it from other building blocks, so we have to get it through food and supplements.
Okay.
And just like vitamin D, most people are deficient in omega-3s, and they have so many great health benefits. You mentioned skin and hair, you mentioned brain food, and also for our heart. Unfortunately, when we have an omega-3 deficiency, that sets up the stage for inflammation in the body, and inflammation is at the root cause of virtually every health issue you can think of.
And that makes it, when we have inflammation in the body, it makes it hard to fight off disease. Is that
absolutely right? So here are some sources of omega-3. Again, we have our cold water fatty fish, like our salmon or sardines. So, killing two birds with one stone there when you get those in there. Other cold water fatty fish like mackerel, herring, also grass-fed beef. A lot of people don't associate grass-fed beef with omega-3s. I'm saying grass-fed. And studies have shown that grass-fed beef have a similar fatty acid profile to salmon. So I encourage you to get out to a local farmer's market and talk to your farmers and see if you can find a source of grass-fed beef. Walnuts are a great source of omega-3, and I encourage you to find them in the shell or raw.
Right.
You'll get more nutrients definitely when you have them.
They even look like a brain.
They do.
It's brain food because it looks like
and there's a lot of little hints like that in nature, so that's a really good thing to notice. And then some ones that are becoming quite popular, chia seeds and flax seeds. So a lot of people put those into their yogurt or smoothies. One thing with flax seeds, I recommend that you buy them whole, keep them in the fridge, and then just grind up a little bit as you need them. You'll get more nutrients if you keep the seed whole as long as possible. Okay. And seeds are hard to digest, so I don't know how to say this politely, but when it goes in here whole, it's going to come out the other end.
So
realistically, this whole frickin' talk, poops.
Yeah. So realistically, if you're not grinding the seed, you're really not absorbing the nutrients.
No, probably not as much as you could. And chia seeds are a different story. So about a tablespoon of ground flax seeds or a tablespoon of chia seeds a day is a good place to start.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Moving right along. What do we have next over
finally,
here?
I want to talk about probiotics.
Yes.
So probiotics have been getting a lot of attention. It's not really a nutrient, but they also have a ton of really important functions in the body. A lot of people associate probiotics with gut health or digestive health, but there's so much research now going on with the connection between probiotics in our gut and our brain health and our immune system function. So it's not just about giving us physical well-being, it's about giving us psychological well-being as well. And you know what's really interesting? We have bacteria in our body, on our body. Hopefully most of it is good.
Yes.
But if you were to count all the cells in and on our body, bacteria cells outnumber human cells by 10 to 1.
Really?
So they're in charge of us.
Okay,
so we need to keep them happy. And unfortunately, there's a lot of things that can shift the balance towards having more bad bacteria. And some things that can kill probiotics are antibiotics, certain prescription medications, stress, caffeine, sugar, and even I've read that chlorine and fluoride in tap water can shift the balance.
Really?
So we have to replenish them. And here are some great foods. These are all fermented foods. We have a yogurt and a kefir. Those are fermented dairy products. And look for a whole, fat, organic, plain. And I say plain because a lot of the yogurts out there have those syrupy, sugary, fruity syrups in the bottom, or little chocolate bits and cookie bits. So that's just dessert, okay?
Yeah.
So when you think that sugar feeds bad bacteria, you don't want to. Yeah, keep that in mind.
Berries.
Exactly. Get the plain stuff.
Honey? Is honey okay?
Yeah. Get the plain stuff. If you want to add something to it, add fresh fruit when you go home. A little bit of cinnamon, maybe some flax or chia seeds, a little sprinkle or a little drizzle of maple syrup, and you're good to go.
Very nice.
And then fermented vegetables are also becoming big. Kimchi. Have you ever had kimchi before?
Isn't that a Korean dish?
Korean condiment. It's delicious. It's fermented cabbage, has a little kick to it. And then sauerkraut. And I make my own sauerkraut. Super easy.
I know my wife's German, of course. So
you're so lucky.
We have the thing of sauerkraut in the fridge all the time, but very simple.
You just need
sausages. But my mom the other day we were at a restaurant and she ordered just a side of sauerkraut and ate it like that.
Yeah, you just need cabbage and salt. And that's one thing I want to mention, that if you are buying it at the store, read the ingredient label. If it says vinegar, it's not traditionally fermented. It's not really a good source of probiotics. So a tablespoon or so as a condiment with your meal will also be a great way to get more probiotics into you.
And so if you're not consuming these foods, say, on a daily basis, what are the best ways to maybe, make sure that you're getting an adequate amount every day?
And that's where supplementation comes in. Now, as a nutritionist, I do encourage people to get as many nutrients as possible from whole unprocessed foods, but even I take vitamin D, omega-3, and probiotics pretty much every day.
Right.
And everyone's needs are a little bit different, and there's so many brands of supplements out there that it can be confusing to figure out what you need. You have to look for what ingredients are in there. So many people are allergic these days to egg and wheat and soy and corn, so a lot of supplements have those types of ingredients or derive their nutrients from those food sources. Does it say what it's supposed to do? Has it been clinically tested? Is it easy to absorb? So there's a lot of things to consider, and it can get really confusing.
That's why people should come to you.
Yeah, and so one thing that I offer is a report called the Foundational 4, and it's the most important nutrients for a healthy, vibrant life. And that's a report that I put together, and it's available for free. You just have to go to my website, perfectresonance.com. You join my email list, and then you'll get a welcome email, and there's a link that you click on, and you'll get a free copy of that report that will talk about these supplements as well as a few others.
Wow. Yeah. Anna, thank you so much for joining us again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great education having you on the show. Don't go away, because coming up after the break, we're talking to Rick Green, who's going to be performing at Cracking Up the Capital with his fabulous show, Totally ADD. We'll be back with him right after this.